Greetings, warriors! So Ocelotl has been out for about a month now, and everybody has got accustomed to his moveset, game plan, and just general playstyle in the game. Now, after many days of playing as Ocelotl and playing with and against Ocelotls, I have come to the conclusion that he is a terrible hero. Now let me explain. There is nothing about him that screams fun. His moveset is very generic, his game plan is very linear and boring. There's just nothing about him that screams uniqueness, which is very disappointing because his fashion is one of the best. It looks nice, it's very impactful, and it just generally makes him look cool. So it's very upsetting that his gameplay doesn't back it up. So here are a few changes I would make to the hero to make him a little bit more exciting and useful in the game. Now we're not talking rework levels here, mainly quality of life changes to help him out. And please do keep in mind that this is my own opinion. If you don't agree with any of the changes I am going to suggest today, that's perfectly fine. We're all entitled to our own thoughts. But if you do disagree, make sure to leave it down below with the scribes so then we can have a conversation about it. But with all of this being said, let us get to the first change. Now the reason I would give his heavies armor, mainly of course his neutral and combo heavies, is because every hero who excels in the 4v4 team fights usually have two things. One, their attacks are super long range, so they're able to hit multiple opponents at once, or their attacks are armored, meaning they're able to cover and hit multiple opponents while being attacked themselves. And unfortunately, Ocelotl has neither. Yes, sometimes his side heavies will catch multiple opponents, but when you compare him to a Raider, a JJ, or a Kensei, he's very lacking in the distance department. So that's why I think it'd be best for him to have armored heavies, so now he'll be able to trade a lot more not only in team fights, but also 1v1s. Next up, I would make his zone attack unblockable. And yes, the second hit will be unblockable as well. Not only will this help once again team fights, to bait your opponent when you're doing a 1v2. It will also help yourself in a 1v2 situation and a 1v1 because you'll have more 50-50 pressure. And of course the armor for the heavies of course will be removed from the zone attack. That way it makes it fair and not too overpowered. The next change would be if you missed your bash mid-combo, you are now punishable. Right now, as we know in the game, if you miss the bash, you can follow up with a heavy, light, another bash, or a zone attack. I would like to remove all of these. The move is far too safe and needs to be more of a risk-reward situation. You should be able to read your opponent, but if you get it wrong, you should be punished for it. And that's why I would make it that you should not be able to follow up after a missed bash. Now the neutral bash on whiff is a completely different story. I believe you should be able to follow up with it. Seeing as this is one of his only tools to open a turtling opponent, I feel like it needs to be a lot more safer and a lot more versatile. So I feel that the moves that you would take off the combo bash should be put onto the neutral. That way if you have an opponent who's just reacting to it, now you can go for the bash. Oh, they've dodged, now you can hit them with the light if they go for a GB. Because like I said, this is one of the only two openers he actually has, so it would be nice if it was a lot more versatile and safe. Ferocious Fang, or Ocelotl's command grab, whatever you want to call it, I believe that should become a parry punish and not another follow-up bash from the original. Now of course to tweak it a little bit, I would make it now it would be a combo starter and not a complete finisher, and of course I would lower the damage just slightly so it's not as unfair because you can get it a lot more now. But I would like to keep the ability for your teammates to hit them while they're in this stunned state, if you would. That way that they'll, just like Warmonger's Impale, now everybody has an opportunity to do damage while you are doing some at the same time. And of course I would like to make the input for this the same as Warmonger's Vicious Impale. These next two changes correlate well with each other, so I'm just going to say them at the same time. The first one being I believe that his dodge attack should be a heavy and not a light. This way, in a team fight, he'll be able to do more damage externally, and he'll be able to get into more executions in the 1v1 and the 1v2. Now of course the heavy attack will have to be superior on block so that he can continue his combo. That way it won't be completely useless on block. Now the other change that correlates well with it is dodge cancels. Ocelotl is all about movement, as we all know, so I believe it is a no-brainer that he should have dodge cancels. Now the moves I don't believe he should be able to dodge out of would be mainly the bashes and the combo ending lights. I feel like those moves are far too punishable and should be more of a risk-reward situation, like I said before, that I don't believe you should be able to dodge out of it. Now this is probably the biggest change I would make to the hero, mainly because this move is ultimately useless in my eyes. So here are a few changes I would make to it to actually make it useful. There are a few of them, so I'm going to try and move through them as fast as possible without dawdling around. The first one being holding the heavy button to activate the stance instead of pulling back like an All Guard. With this mechanic, it's the same as a Shaolin going to Key or a Highlander going into offensive. Because now you can hold the heavy button, you have a multitude of other options that you can do with the rest. Speaking of, I would like to be able to dodge while in the stance. Similar to like how Highlander can dodge in his offensive stance, I think if we implemented that into the Hunter's stance, it will make it a much better tool to use in the team fights. But just moving around in general should be upped as well. So that's why I think the movement speed should be doubled. Right now in live game, if you're in the Hunter's stance and you move, you're going the exact same speed as an Orochi, which is not dramatic in any case. Like I said, should be doubled. You'll be able to move around the team fight a lot faster, but also in the 1v1 aspect, you'll be able to constantly harass your opponent with ultimate movement. And the last change I would make is based around the only attack you can do in the stance, which is the pounce. I would like to make this unblockable and armored. I think the reason for that should speak for itself. Unblockable and armored moves are very strong and very scary to deal with. That's why I think this move needs that pressure behind it. Right now you can just dodge it, parry, or block it at your own free will. And it's not fast enough that you can actually do it mid-combo, so that's why the armor comes in. And just for a little side note, I do believe because you are holding the heavy button that you should remove that jump back animation. This is my own personal opinion, but make sure to tell me down below what you guys think of making that little side change. Now this next change is actually not around the moveset itself for Ocelotl, but actually his first feat. The one that turns you into a ghost if you're not executed. I believe this feat should be an activation and not a passive. The reason being is now it will be a lot more versatile feat than just one that happens automatically. The reason I would like to have this option is because I can't tell you how many times I've been fighting on a point with my fellow companions in a 2v2 situation. I die, my companion wins, and right as they get over to me to revive, get the points for the feats and whatnot, I turn into a ghost and I have to wait an extra 15 seconds to spawn in and heal. It is very frustrating. Yes, the move is very useful, but that's mainly in the essence of moving across the map to backcap and whatnot. I feel like this should be an option that once you die, you should be given two options. One, do you want to spawn in as a ghost, or do you want to wait to be revived? I feel like this change is, in some people's eyes, very minor, but I feel it'll be a very good healthy change for the hero. Now for the final change to Ocelotl, and that is what all of you think. That's right, the final change is I want all of you to tell me what you would change to the hero. Is it something in his moveset? Is it something with his feats, or just his general gameplay itself? I want to know what all of you think. All of you who have been playing the hero for this last month. And to tell me down below what describes in the comments your thoughts. Now, of course, you don't have to miss anything I missed. If you want to touch on the heavies or the lights or the bash itself, go right ahead. I want to hear from all of you, the community. So there we have it. Everything I would change to Ocelotl to make him a more fun and exciting hero to play as. Now, please do keep in mind that I'm not trying to hate on anybody who enjoys the way he is now. If you have a great time playing as Ocelotl in the current game, then all the power to you. That is completely fine. Just in my own personal opinion, I believe he needs a little bit more help. Now, do remember to leave your comments down below on what you would change with the hero. And if you enjoyed today's tale, make sure to slay that like button. And if you wish to join our glorious kingdom, then make sure to subscribe and ring that church bell to stay notified of any future quests. And of course, don't forget to click the link down below to head on over to Twitch and join us in our amazing arena. But until next time, warriors, farewell. And I shall see all of you on the field. Ha ha!